Miss Betty Johnson. Here. Mr. Rex McCarthy.
Present.
Miss Kate Cook.
Present.
Miss Lois Jordan.
Present.
Mr. Craig Gill.
Yeah.
Mayor Jackie Johnson.
Here. Item 1 for this evening meeting is the appointment of city officials.
There is a motion.
Mr. Clarence Stinson, Superintendent. Willard Hutto, Fire Chief. Sheila Lewis, City Clerk. And Samuel T. Singleton, City Attorney.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that to take the acceptance of the people we have appointed for the city officials for the city of Winsboro.
Been properly moved.
Second.
And second. All in favor? Mr. Gill?
Do y'all really think we'll approve that?
I would rather, two things. I feel as though we might be getting the cart before the horse. I think the budget should be discussed before we approve these officials. And secondly, I think it is proper to approve these officials one at a time rather as a collective group.
So we have a motion on right now to accept the individuals as they are. Motion and second.
Again, I will state that that the budget should be discussed prior to that, since we're talking about individuals that will be receiving some money from the city, some of them a pay raise, some of them that have not been on our payroll before. Therefore, the budget, in my opinion, should be discussed and taken care of first. And then secondly, I think that it is appropriate to introduce each one and vote on them individually.
I would like to, that's what I think too, especially part of individual voting. I don't know how you could really put them together.
Excuse me.
I said I agree with Craig, because I don't really know how you can clump them all together and it'd be a legal motion. I would think you would have to have them separated.
We have done that. We have to have them separated in what fashion?
So, will you appoint Tab as the city attorney?
He gave the list of who the individuals were. He gave you the list, he named off the individuals.
We should be able to vote individually. We should have that right to vote individually.
Mayor, I rescind my motion. I rescind my motion on the motion that I made to do it as collective group. And I will make a motion that we do it individually on each individual at this time.
And I second that motion.
Okay.
Now, on each person, I think that's myself, Skipper, and City Clerk, and Sheila.
And Willard.
And who now?
Willard Hutto.
And Willard Hutto. The law says that it should be by the council, by an ordinance. Mayor makes a recommendation, which he has. It also says you have to fix their compensation. You have to agree with what he said. It is in the budget what they have agreed to pay everybody, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
That's correct.
So by voting on the 4 individuals, Craig, you are approving the salary that's set forth in the budget. So everybody understands.
Well, if we come before the budget, that's still when we take on the individual budget, right there that we can add to, if we want a change to it.
Oh, you can amend the budget.
Yes.
I'd like Mr. Singer to repeat what he just said, though. I think I heard you say that if we approve the individuals here, then we are approving what was listed in the budget as their
Yeah,
compensation.
It says the Board of Aldermen shall by ordinance fix the compensation of the mayor, alderman, clerk, chief of police, and all other municipal officers. And y'all normally do that in your, when you adopt the budget each year. Whatever's in the budget, that's considered an ordinance. And you adopt the budget, you're adopting what the mayor and the finance committee have proposed for that following year. I.e., if they say, pay Skipper $35,000 in the budget and you reappoint him for a new term, whatever's in that budget is what he will receive. And you can never go below it, but you could increase it during the 4 years and you could decrease it, but back to what he originally started out at, that's all. Am I making sense on that?
Yes, you are, and therefore, that's where my problem is.
Well, that's why I say you need to know what everybody's going to get.
Exactly.
We need to make the budget first.
Other than, well, not
He said
necessarily, other
we could make
than,
an amendment to the budget.
You can make an amendment for more, but not less.
yeah, you can always do
Yeah,
that.
yes, you can make it less.
But not below what you start out the first 4 years. Like if the mayor's making $30,000 a year,
Yeah.
and he's elected to make $30,000, you can increase the mayor's salary by ordinance. And you can decrease it within what you've increased it.
Yeah, okay.
But you can't ever pay the mayor less than $30,000
Okay.
during that next 4 years. Okay, it says you can't go below what he would be making under the previous budget.
It is my understanding that there's a city, possibly 2 city ordinances. One setting the chief of police's salary, and the others, whenever that was done during Billy's administration. And then another ordinance when Jackie was first appointed.
And there was probably an ordinance when Jack Hamlin's, the mayor prior to Jack Hamlin was making twice what Jack was making, so when the budget was adopted, Jack's salary went back to $24,000.
Correct.
By ordinance, you can change anything, Kathy. You can,
But would we do it in the ordinance? And this is my question.
but you can do it in the ordinance or by adopting the budget. Either one.
Okay, that's done.
And so
And not
the council needs to know what each person is being paid.
I still want to mess up and have something that, do something.
No, you wouldn't, but if you're satisfied in the proposed budget, what individuals are being paid, i.e. the chief, fire chief, that, what's proposed, then you could just say, we accept your recommendation to appoint the chief at the amount you got in the budget. Myself do the same thing. We're elected for a 4-year term unless the mayor and y'all decide y'all don't want us anymore. And y'all can do that. You can let us go, but it takes both parties to do that.
The flip side of that then, if I may address the council, if we do not, we are not in agreement with what the proposed budget says, what occurs then.
But you just, if using me as an example, if you disagree, it doesn't mean that you may want to work on that part of the budget before it is adopted. It's my understanding, all that's happening right now is a proposed document, budget. Still got to be a public hearing on that. It's just like an ordinance. It's got to be approved after a hearing.
Okay. One more question. I hope it's just one more. Just the elephant in the room. We've got somebody that is going to have will be hired for the first time. And then those figures are in the proposed budget. If we go with the mayor's recommendation, that's in the budget. I mean, there's no litmus test as to where this person started and where we go. What does one
No,
do?
and that's a political thing. The mayor is supposed to make a recommendation. If you look at 33404.1, he says, I recommend this new person gets hired and this is at this salary. Then by ordinance, or by resolution, y'all can, either one is going to be published and it doesn't go into effect for 30 days, or, after publication. If you disagree with the salary, then you don't vote on the order. If 3 of y'all agree with the salary and 2 disagree, it becomes, but at this point, it's more of a proposal, and then maybe there could be a compromise where all 5 would agree, or, discuss the salary. And these are only officials that you actually get an opportunity to talk about salary. It's the ones that are set forth, like the city attorney, city clerk. Having said that, within Jackie's budget is administrative, and he can set people's salaries or decrease them or increase them or let them go or whatever. And that's pretty much what the law is. But on these particular people, like Skipper, like Truman, not Truman, but Willard, my mind's not working, y'all. That's something y'all have input in. And hopefully you will agree with the mayor's recommendation, but if you don't, then it's open for
And
discussion.
that's why I was saying with the proposed, what it was here, we can make an amendment to that. Not accepting or compromising with that salary, whatever that salary is.
Well, you can, but what if that person don't want to work for less? And she's agreed or he's agreed to work for X amount of money, then you're back to square one. That's why, like in our case, the ones that have been here, we pretty well know what the recommendation is going to be. And we're in kind of a little different category than the proposed new clerk, city clerk. So, that's all I'm saying is if you say we want to keep Skipper on at what's proposed, then that particular ordinance would say that. And if you want to keep me on at what's proposed, that would say that. But on Ms. Sheila's clerk, the city clerk, you may want to, y'all may have some discussions about that.
But wouldn't it be best if she was here during that discussion? So we could discuss with her.
It'd be best if y'all sit down and talk to her individually, and, she's going to be your clerk for the next 4 years. You need, I personally am impressed with it, but other than saying that, I'm not the one that's going to approve the hiring of her. And I'm sure Rex had met her, and he's comfortable with it, but maybe some of y'all hadn't. I don't know. Mayor's met her, and he's comfortable with it.
And, I don't really have any issues with her. I just want to be able to discuss salary options. So I don't want to tie us down to where we can't. And she's not been here. Because she hadn't been the last 3 minutes, so we can talk to her about it.
What do you think, Rex?
We go ahead and call for be here or not. We don't work with her. From my point, we don't work with her. She's been in the meetings, we've been having finance. So it doesn't relevant to me.
Or do we wait and talk to her individually again?
Well, no, if y'all know the facts, if you know how much you're paying her and all that, you certainly can bring it to a vote tonight.
And find out.
I'm not telling you not to. Yeah.
Mayor, what is the proposed budget for Ms. Sheila Lewis that's proposed in the
I'll let
budget?
you see.
After speaking with some of you, $50,000.
For beginning employee, just start.
Excuse me?
I said for a beginning employee, just start.
She was.
I know she's been contract labor and you don't look at her as beginning employee, but technically she is a new employee to the city as far as being an employee.
Being a new person in the position.
Yeah, I just feel that the 50,000 in the condition, we've got men out there that are making $12 an hour, and we need police officers and fire department personnel, and I just, I just can't see starting her off at 50,000. I can't. I mean, when we've got men on the street making $12 an hour trying to feed families. And that's where I stand.
Well, and that's the purpose. If there's a motion to, mayor's recommended her, if there's a motion and a second to accept his recommendation, a good general discussion, and that's what you're doing, Kathy. You're opposing paying her that much money. And, maybe some other council members would have something, and that's just the discussion before you vote on it. Has anybody made a motion to accept
We
it?
haven't started it yet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I would be willing to set a salary.
Excuse me?
What amount?
I said I would be willing to set a salary of $39,500.
It's 40, he's 45. All the mess she has gone in and cleared up that we had,
But
she's done.
she's made a lot of money for it.
Yeah, she's done, but she,
But, I mean, I'll go 40.
Let me say something, and I know that you're looking at the fact that she's a new employee, but she's not a new employee. She's been doing contract work, for the city for several years now. She's new coming up on a regular payroll, but she has served in the capacity of a trainer for the existing clerk and financial personnel, that we have here. She come in when our records was at a very unfavorable, position, and has moved our records, financial records, to a point that is recognizable now. She is, we have people, that we start off. And I've had other supervisors here with the city that has viewed her and has been impressed with her. Other department heads that has come up to me and told me that how impressed they are with her performance. I have been very impressed with her performance, and I know that you're going to be looking to me for whatever job that she does or fails to do. And I think that we're missing a great opportunity to hire a good person, because we're not going to be able to hire her at $40,000.
Are you ready to take it up?
what about 45? What about 45?
Miss Betty won't know if she accepted at 45.
Well,
On tour?
we were talking about the same level of salary, that our previous clerk was making when Roxy was employed here. She may be new here, but she's not new at all in the performance of her duties. I found her to be very, very impressive, and most people that has been around her found that to be a fact.
But Jackie, I think we need to be afforded the opportunity to talk to Sheila.
Excuse me?
That I think we need to be afforded the opportunity to talk to Sheila about this salary as a body, or individually, however you want to.
What are you suggesting?
Do what?
What are your suggestions?
That we be able to talk to her about the salary. I mean, I don't think I'm being unfair at all. I mean, we haven't even passed a budget. And our budget it does not look very promising. And, you know, we're talking about then, you know, what, $10,000 would almost hire another firefighter. I mean, I was impressed with Sheila, and I think Sheila does a good job. But I just don't think $50,000.
You had also told me that before, that you weren't impressed with her.
I did tell you that.
You told me you weren't
I'm
impressed.
saying it publicly. I was impressed with her. But I have to look at what's best, what I feel is best for the city. And until we can get some of this budget behind us, and, you know, the fact that she is still a new employee. I mean, Roxy didn't come in making what she made. She worked her way there.
Now, are we looking at experience, or are we looking at experience here?
I'm just looking at the whole big picture.
Because if you're looking at experience, you know, she has that on other areas, other jobs,
She has.
her educational background, you know, all of those things are.
She has.
And I don't want to get in a big slum if we want to accept her. I would like to have her.
But she has QuickBooks experience. She has QuickBooks school. She has, you know, the financial background. But she does not have the other side of the story as of being a clerk. And that's one thing I'm looking at. You know, she probably will do excellent at that, but she does not have that experience.
Okay, Roxy didn't have that other part of it too. She was doing Mr. Monkey.
She didn't come to work making $50,000.
I don't know what to say, what she made. Are you sure certain on that, or you are absolutely certain on that?
No, I'm not positive on
Well, you
that.
can't make that statement then, can you?
I'd just be willing to.
That's a false statement. You're not sure, you can't make a statement.
I mean, nobody goes in making their top salary.
The only thing we know where Roxy was at, and the only thing I know when she left here, she was here before I got here, before I came on board with the council. I can't make that statement. This is what Roxy came in at.
Do you?
No, I don't. She was here when I came.
Roxy had experience with HACCP. She helped with the audits for the city.
I think Mr. Murphy trained her when she worked with him.
But I'm not against hiring Sheila. I'm not against it at all. That, you know, if Fair's willing to step down.
We just need to talk to her. Is that what you said? Just like that?
I just like to see just where we can get her.
Where she will accept.
Yes, Greg.
I would also, I mean, I would like the opportunity to visit with her as well, but I would also like for the council to look at her resume and call some references. I have. I don't know if anybody else has called any of her references, but that may help make some decisions or not. But I mean, that's what she is going to have, a very integral part of this city. She's going to hold the checkbook, and it's good to know every angle that we can know. And there's due diligence that's out there that we as elected officials need to follow. So I think an interview with her, maybe 2 council people at a time, would be helpful. We're going to have to work with her. I would hope she can come in and solve all of our problems.
I would too.
But I think that we, as the people that are going to work with her, need to know her a little bit. Rex has had the opportunity to meet her, and Kay has, but I personally have not, and I don't know about the other two councilwomen. But I mean, she's given us a resume. There are people we can contact and talk to, and then I think we need that opportunity to visit with her. And again, I will say this, I hope she can help us fix what we got broken.
Hope so.
Greg, when we left here Monday, when we left the meeting Monday, you told me that you were impressed with the resume and that you think that she would be a good clerk. The one thing that you were concerned about was that you wanted a background check.
Yes.
And we have secured that background check on her, and it's absolutely spotless.
I've also made a telephone call or two since then, and I would encourage other council people to make some contacts.
You've made a telephone call, and
Yes.
you've learned something unfavorable?
Not saying that, but I mean, I've made a telephone call, and I think we should all do something like that.
Be careful. Tell me anything about it, she's not here.
Was this something that we need to go into executive section to discuss?
I don't think so.
To share with the remaining of the body? Because if that is the case, and if it's something unfavorable, I think that all of us would like to share that information so that we can make an intelligent decision, to include myself.
But she's not here for us to go into executive session.
Excuse me?
She's not here for us to go into executive session and talk about
Discuss her, and she's not.
And she would, am I right, Tab?
Yeah, and I think what, if you could agree upon the compensation, of course, the mayor has recommended her to be our next city clerk for a compensation of $50,000. And I appreciate what everyone has said in their comments. Y'all have certain due diligence you have to do, and just listening to you, several of y'all have met her. I know Craig said he had. Y'all probably made up your mind how you're gonna vote. I don't know if the discussions on the salaries, if you're all in favor on that amount. But, I don't believe that it calls for an executive session just because Mr. Gill said he's made a comment. He's made one call or two calls, and he hadn't said it wasn't unfavorable, or it may not have been favorable. It's not what he was looking for, maybe, I don't know. It's just, it's just his due diligence. He's making phone calls, and he wanted to know if other people are checking references.
But the only part you're gonna see on that mayor is we call a vote. If they have not for it on that deal, at the salary, at that amount of money, that we know that's his recommendation, that's his position. If we are discussing right here now, for those who are at that, Kay, you said 38, and Betty said 45. So, the only thing I can see is to call a vote. If that vote kills and goes down with the mayor recommended, then we look at something else with a compromise coming down, of trying to compromise from that salary.
Well, now that would be, put it on the table at 50, see how the vote is. If you vote it down, just like Rick said, you can always go back and bring another motion, check with her, agree upon something, bring back another ordinance to say we'll accept her if the mayor wants to recommend her again at X amount. Of course, you need to check with her to see if she even come to work at that price. But right now, I know she's probably told the mayor, I'll come to work for the city as city clerk for that compensation. So that's already been checked out.
Is this forum open for public comment?
No, sir.
Okay.
It's just a council matter.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint Sheila Walker and Sheila Lewis as clerk of court at the amount of what the mayor recommended at $60,000.
Is there a second?
It's not the clerk.
I mean, city clerk, I'm sorry.
I said it over that. When I think of clerk, I always say clerk of court. All right, the motion's on the table, need a second. Very nice. Like a second.
Is there a second to the motion? I'll ask one more time. Is there a second to the motion?
There's a question.
Okay.
Can we put this on the table like Mr. Singer said and maybe reach at a number that's a figure that's good for all of us to see if she would start, if she will accept, say 45,000. I know, Mayor, I know you know she's worth 50 and I do too, but still, it's can we start at 45 if it would be agreeable with everybody, with all of us? Would you talk to her about 45?
Excuse me?
Would you talk to Sheila about 45,000 and maybe moving her up to the other 5,000? Say 6 months at the end of the year, if she is worked out.
Well, how do you do that, Miss Betty? If she would accept it, 45, then, and again, I don't think you can put all these raises in 6 months, the mayor could come back and recommend an increase to y'all. And if he has enough votes on the council, it'll pass and she'll get that extra 5. If there's enough on the council that will approve it. That's how you do it. You wouldn't want to put it in the initial hire. The initial hire would be at a salary of compensation 45,000.
Well, would you all like to? Would you?
Feel a lot better at 42.
42.
Age negotiation.
45, 42.
Let's try, I'll go 42.
What about 44?
43. Okay, let's
Okay.
we're,
I'm good listening.
Did you say that question?
just asking, if he had a number.
Excuse me?
I was just asking him if he had a number.
I don't have a number.
Nobody has an
No, and you won't, and this is the only time the 5 of y'all can get together and talk about something. Now you go back to 1 or 2 of y'all talking and discussing it, and if she, if that made, I'm sorry. You discuss it, and if she would take the 45 and you got the vote, Miss Betty, just like watching people in Washington, if you got enough vote for 45, you bring an ordinance in and say, Mayor, will the mayor make this recommendation that you hired for 45, and then y'all vote on 45, and if you got a motion in a second, and there's 4 of y'all or 3 of y'all, say Craig votes against it, I don't have Craig to vote at the end of the day. That's how you would do it.
It's bad.
Okay, I hear you.
But right now, there was a motion on the table to hire at 50, and there's no second, so that will die if there's no second. Then you go back to the drawing board.
I have a question. Have she talked about anything around 40-some thousand?
No, she
She
hasn't.
hasn't. So
Listen, she's not gonna have any problem, getting the amount that she wants. She will not.
So is the motion still alive? Can you, I second it.
It's been properly moved and
Mayor.
second.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This is not,
Yes, yes,
I mean, this is a council matter unless y'all will let somebody comment on it
I'd like to ask a question if I could, sir.
before we vote on it.
yes, I'll have a question.
Is this an open meeting? Is this an open meeting? Special call meeting, is it an open meeting?
It is.
Yes, Mr. Dumas, you know it's an open meeting.
Then
That's
is
your
it,
question?
the second question is this, is it open for public comments?
Yes. Yes, it's open to public comment.
That was a question that was asked earlier, no, and we were told no. So my question is, since it is an open meeting and it is open for public comment, can we speak in reference to this subject?
Can you do what?
Can we speak in reference to this subject?
If the mayor and the council wants to speak. What, do y'all want open comments on it?
Fine with it. We'll do both.
Yeah, limit to 2 minutes and,
I thought that in an open meeting, people were allowed to comment on before we vote. I thought that was,
well, he's introduced and we're voting on it.
okay.
It's not a hearing, Craig.
But I thought that in open meetings,
You can ask for comments if you want to.
yeah,
And if it's limited, y'all limited it to 2 minutes.
yeah.
Just comments.
Fine with it.
We will allow comment from the public for 2 minutes.
The comment that I would like to make is this. 4 years ago, we had the very same situation. And in the process of doing so, the young lady was not accepted. Now, I don't think the council is saying that they will or will not accept it based on the fact of the amount of the funds that has not been agreed upon in the budget. If the budget then, which is also a old business that has not been done, then I find it very difficult for you to make a decision, even at this time, on this particular person. And I think that's within the 2 minutes.
Ask for comments.
Are there any more comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Does this person who is being looked at for this position, does she have a specialty or a certification for municipalities and government in accounting for these types of transactions? Because this is an enormous position to have with the fiduciary responsibility to everyone in the city, because she will be in charge of their money. So does she have a special certification? And I'm not that familiar with how this works. So in order to establish such a high salary level, shouldn't you set benchmarks for professional achievement? That's my question, or comment, rather.
I don't know of any qualification to be city clerk. Historically, in Winsboro, we've had a city clerk and then we've had someone training under the city clerk.
Well, that might be something good to do.
No question about that.
She has the background and her deal, but she has knowledgeable in accounting and those things that you're asking about, she does have.
But accounting knowledge with QuickBooks, I
She has
have
accounting
that.
knowledge in firms that she don't work that, and she don't work within this, in the realm of working with those things that you're talking.
One more question, and I'll keep it under 2 minutes. Is there, and I'm not familiar with how this works, because I'm not even in
Okay,
the city limits.
it's 2 minutes total now.
Yes.
Not another question, not another 2-minute question. It's 2 minutes total.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
What justifies a $13,000 raise for her? Because if she's paid $50,000 a year, that's $13,000 more than what the previous city clerk was paid. Is she that qualified? Has she ever worked in a government position?
The previous clerk was making,
$37,000 a year.
yes, that's correct. But the clerk prior to the last clerk was making 53,000, I think.
But what qualifies her to go from the
Ma'am.
37 that Julia
Ma'am.
was paid to 50?
Her performance, her ability, observation of her, that is the reason I'm recommending her. Now, what's going to qualify her is if the council the majority of the council will favor her. If they don't, we'll just move on from there.
Just because they vote for her, don't mean she's qualified.
And that's a legitimate comment for the council to consider. So, I mean, it's not a question and answer, an argument and debate. Your comment is have y'all checked out qualification? Is she qualified?
Right.
And that's an individual thing these people are going through their head right now. The comment is well given. I mean, that's something that they can think about, just like Mr. John Dumas mentioned. Should be looking at the overall budget maybe. These are things the council should be taking into consideration, if they deem it necessary.
Oh, I think my 2 minutes are up.
Yes, Mr. Justin.
I'm not going to talk 2 minutes. It appears that you ought to me, you should have a budget to pass to know what's in the budget. Can you afford these things in the budget? If we don't have money taken in, then that would tell you where you could hire for that what.
Well, and John, to answer that question, I would think, of course, the mayor can comment on it too, is that her salary is put in this budget that...
What budget?
Yeah, well, the budget was just proposed or given to them, the overall budget, and then it'll be on, as you know, you do allow the public to look at it, you have a public hearing, just like when you guys pass budgets. And then
We were here Monday, it wasn't no budget.
It was tabled.
it was tabled,
Right,
take up the
That's
night.
right, it was tabled. And I mean, we're at square one.
Yeah, and the proposed budget is here. I assume the council, all the council members have copies, and it'll be made available to the public. The proposed budget, John, not necessarily the budget's going to pass. It may pass, it may not, it may
We
be
talked about
amended.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Do only 5 people vote on the budget? Just those 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And they make amendments to it. Usually they have finance committee meets. John can tell you, he was on the finance, Mr. John was. They meet with the mayor, they talk about the budget, and then they make a proposal to the entire council
I can't do it in 2 minutes.
in 2 minutes. You talking about comments?
You tell me, Mr. John can tell you, I can't do that in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. You like me, John.
But shouldn't you pass the budget first?
Okay,
But this is,
what is your pleasure? All, I have a second and first and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that it's passed by 3-2 vote.
your recommendation.
My recommendation.
Like you gotta take, maybe you gotta take a Skipper. Y'all put in the budget on Skipper, Willard, myself, is that all? Y'all lump us all together since we're already employees?
Yes.
Or take a separate, whatever?
Keep it separate. They want it separate, they keep it separate.
Do I get a motion?
Individual, separate. I want to meet you.
Individual?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take them one at a time.
Attorney Kathleen?
I make that motion.
Probably moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Skipper, Superintendent?
Right, on Skipper, I would like to appoint him with a 15% pay increase, which would be 3% over 5 years, and him not get 3% for the next 5 years. Get that? I'll put that in a motion.
Okay.
Hold on, you said.
For next, I'm sorry.
All right, explain that again, Kate, what you said?
Kay, make the motion.
Okay, I make the motion to appoint Skipper Stinson as superintendent with a 15% pay increase, with the stipulation that he not receive the 3% pay increase for the next 5 years.
So we're at 15% now, and then after this 15% this year, he won't receive another pay raise for 5 years.
Get one pay raise, and it stays the same salary. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Bid.
Unanimously approved. Our fire chief, Chief Willard Hutto.
I move that we keep Mr. Hutto in his position.
Been properly moved
Second.
and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that it's unanimously approved. Is that?
Thank y'all, Mayor and Council.
Item number 2, audit the fiscal year of 2014 and 15.
Mayor, I hadn't been pleased with the guy that we used, the firm that we used. The situation that happened to us, and with our audit being turned in late, I know they had some stipulations that they had happen with him, but I felt that threw us under the bus. And so I stated then in the finance committee, committee meeting, and I'm stating it again now. And I would like to see for us to go with somebody different. Again, to re-advertise that and try to go with somebody different.
I'm in agreement.
Is your motion ready? Make the motion.
Well, you just don't, if the mayor's making, if he's making a recommendation to retain them for another year, If he doesn't get a motion and a second, then they're not. Then you're looking for somebody else. They didn't turn down the resignation.
I move we accept the group from Natchez to do our audit again.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
Second?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay. 2.1.
Betty, did you vote?
I'm for the, yeah.
Are you opposed to it?
No. I'm for it.
Okay,
To
Craig,
accept my-
Craig is for it.
To accept my
I'm for it.
All right, who all's for it?
It's just great.
Okay, and who all's against it, the three of y'all? Okay, it failed.
He said,
Okay, item number 3, resolution 14-07-03, 2014 budget amendment to industrial fund.
That was for us 8 gentlemen. And then for some survey and stuff that they did out there. So I make a motion that we adopt that budget.
Properly moved. Second.
Discussion?
All in favor, say aye.
Wait, Craig has
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, what work was actually performed for this $40,000? This is just for services rendered, but I haven't seen anything, other than a few pictures that they drew.
He wanted to know what,
Farmers market.
yeah, what Denman has done, what professional work Denman has done on the farm. Maybe Billy could. Billy, could you answer that?
And I don't hold me to this, but I think what you're looking at, you are looking at the farmer's market that went in for purchase of the property in that. And in addition to that, if I'm correct, okay, as far as the Main Street and the economic development, Franklin Parish Economic Development combination.
Do a budget amendment for them. I thought that's what it was too, but they were in our last year's budget.
And I'm not for sure, like I said, I really don't know. Haven't been privy to that information. But I do know that that the farmer's market was a portion of it.
That was 26.
And I was always of the impression that the Franklin Parish Economic Development and the Main Street came out of the general fund.
This is industrial.
This is the amendment to the industrial fund. Yeah. They come through and we changed some specs or something was changed? Did they come?
Billy, is that what we pay directly to Denman and instead of allowing them to put in requests from the state
If you pay prior to the end of the fiscal year, Denman Engineering, which I think we did, Julia, am I correct about that?
say that again?
Did we pay Denman Engineering $15,000?
Right.
16,125, correct.
Okay. And now the funding has been submitted, and those funds will come back in. And as soon as those funds are here, and I'm not sure that they're not here, but it goes directly back into the fund that it came
We
out.
actually received it already, the 16,125.
Right,
We
we've
did
already
make-
received it.
Yes,
And
but we received it after July, so we need to still amend the,
And And it would go,
information.
and it would go directly back in to the industrial fund and then transferred from there back into the industrial reserve fund.
All right, one last question. The last sentence, the additional $7,000 as far as increase in revenue, what does that, where is that, what's that $7,000 pointing to? I don't understand.
Completely different from that.
Okay, good. Explain that.
There was an increase in the revenue from what if I can, understood it correctly, there was an increase in revenue industrial fund towards the end of the fiscal year. And Sheila was instructed we need to add this to our amendment. So it would show the increase in revenue, so it would equally balance out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is with the 16 going back in, that was an increase which puts it over the
And we had
105%.
And we had to show that 7,000
Okay.
as an increase in the revenue.
Did we have a,
May I say something, Mayor? on
Yes.
that? If the city council remembers that was voted on resolution to do so when that occurred, that we would pay these funds, and the funds, we have to pay for them first, and then the funds are diverted back into the city's treasury.
Right, which we just received a portion of
But it
that.
came after the
So
fiscal
we
year.
recovered some of that.
It came after the end,
Okay.
after July 1st, am I correct about that, Judy?
Yes, sir.
any more comments or questions? What is your pleasure?
Motion second.
All in favor?
Yes, I would.
All in favor, say aye. Opposes? Let the record reflect that as unanimously approved. Okay, resolution 14-0704, 2014 budget amendment to sales tax fund. It's all in. What is this transfer?
This is 175. This is 175 that we are paying. To take it out and transfer it to general fund. So the next one is the general fund. We'll take it and we'll put it here. That was to give a fund balance for all the adopted expenditures of revenue. That's supposed to fix that.
My question arose.
What is your,
My question, do we need to, can I ask a question?
Yeah, you can, that's the purpose of
Okay.
that question.
We got our monthly report, Monday, and in the report is our year-end numbers.
Just in the budget before you, we have this projected over $200,000 in revenue, and we have more revenue in that budget there than expenditure, so we already compliant starting on that, the one that we adopted last year, like I said. And we came out the gate, came out. And you're right, we can't continue to do that. We cannot.
Maybe Ms. Lewis can give me a year on when we'll run out of money, if we keep going like this.
Could I ask a question? Did you balance it out of some fund that you had in reserve?
Out of sales tax, we're making a transfer from sales tax into general fund.
That sales tax money was in reserve?
Not, my understanding, not in the sales tax fund, where it was at. The money was there in the sales tax fund. But we adopted that budget, we adopted the 13-14 budget that was adopted. Clearly, when we adopted, we weren't in compliance. And then during the year of 13-14, line items by departments that comes out of general funds, those departments went over, one in particular, street department. The street department was way over 14%. We had other departments, you saw that we saw it was way over, over 105%.
May I ask the question?
yes,
So what you're saying is you started the July 1 fiscal year overdrawn?
We adopted a budget that wasn't in compliance, state compliance. Your expenditures cannot be more than your revenue.
No, tonight I thought was when you were doing all the
No, this is
voting
going back
on it.
13-14. Tonight is going to fix that. We're going back, this happened back in 13-14.
Okay, but is the 14-15 budget?
Yes,
Are you
has more
started,
revenue,
your
yes.
cash position, is it
Yes.
overdrawn?
No,
no.
no.
What is your pleasure?
May I make a motion to adopt resolution 140704, amendment to the sales tax fund?
Been properly moved. And second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Resolution number 140705, 2014 budget amendment to general fund. That's what this is. We just did that one. Okay. Sales tax, okay.
We just spoke about it. I just spoke about
Okay,
what we put it in that situation. Second. We got a motion and a second.
Motion second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Let the record reflect one opposed. Item number 6, adoption of ordinance number 966, budget for fiscal year 2014 and 15. Introduction.
What the mayor meant to say is this is an introduction of an ordinance to adopt the proposed budget. It requires that there be notice of one public hearings, how many you want, but the mayor will more than likely ask for the public hearing at the next council meeting, set a time, it'll be published in the paper, it'll be on file, so the public can look at it, get a copy of it. There will be public participation in it. Council can study it, and then the ordinance will be voted on after proper publication.
I'll make a motion to introduce this ordinance for budget with an amendment on our superintendent's salary that we discussed tonight, with the amendment.
Okay. Do I have a second? Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Item number 7, monthly finance report. Yes, okay.
Question for Julia. You ready? Page 1, transfer from sales tax fund, $317,000 plus. Yet, we ended with the net income of $229,000, almost $230,000. Why did we transfer so much money to come up with such a large income, when clearly a lot less was needed?
You speaking of 317,000?
Yes, and then we finished the month with 200, almost 230 to the gift, rather than getting close to zero there.
For this month? So this month, I know we transferred some, it had to do with a lot of those bills we had to catch up on to pay. That was a lot of it. Then we had the, the transfer from Amethyst took place when we received that money, when we transferred it back, we reflected all that.
That would have come from the sales tax fund?
Once we transferred that money, when we originally transferred, it comes out of sales tax fund to be deposited to general fund. So when we receive that back, if I'm not mistaken, then we have to take that back and then reflect back in sales tax fund?
Yeah, I guess my question is, why did we have such a large ending balance?
Like I was saying,
when money could have stayed, in the fund.
And my only explanation for it would be the bills that we had to catch up on so far, but with all, the situation we had.
Sure, and those bills will be reflected in the 2013-14 monies, right? I mean,
And in this June
this is
report as
year
well.
end, we still have such a large.
We still have a lot of bills to pay for June too.
Okay.
We still have a lot to pay for June. We still pay a lot now. Probably see some again for this month as well. We're still paying. June and July.
On the franchise fees, it it shows on the budget, $150,000. The original budget was budgeted $287,500.
Anything wrong with that?
On page 1 of the profit and loss. And if you look at the March financial report, page 4030. If you look at the March, you can see that y'all don't have it.
What was your question again? Could you?
Well, let me see, find my page. Why, at the beginning of the budget, okay, the franchise fees, in the budget for $287,500 listed on the March financial statement. Here, they're listed as budget item for
What she's looking at
$150,000.
right now is March. I'm trying to find it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You understand what I'm saying? In the March financial statement that we received, franchise fees was listed at $287,500. On this financial report, they're listed at $150,000.
Oh, you're speaking on the budgeted item.
Yeah, the budget items. I mean, are our numbers changing? I mean, there was no budget amendment for this,
Exactly, and I can't answer for that with Ms. Kay. I don't know why that number changed.
but would our numbers on this financial statement be incorrect? Or,
On this
because
financial-
this is what we got.
On this financial statement, everything should be correct. You have a better view because we fixed most of those problems. Then if you was talking about the income, I was going to try to explain there were a lot of misposting, and we had to go adjust that, but the line item for what was budgeted should not have changed.
It should not have changed,
No, ma'am.
but it did. And with things like this, it makes me wonder, things like this are totally necessary.
That's not, I'm just gonna change it, but
So,
I'm just gonna change it.
she said on the report she sees for March, right here, this number here was here. She's trying to see why it changed. What did you say was in the March copy, Mr.
At $287,500. And, that would reduce our income. $130,000.
How much was it?
$130,000 difference.
That was the amount in March?
The other amount in March was $287,500.
Okay.
What it was from March.
And then,
Yeah, I have to see that, your budget amount should not change.
Right.
yeah, they should not change like that. And that just makes me wonder about these amendments and, going forward with our numbers, where that's going to be because of, mistakes like that. And,
You copied it in March?
I didn't, would you pass it around to me, please?
Ms. Kay, you are on the finance committee. You and Mr. McCarthy. Have y'all ever run into this before?
They're really focused on,
Okay, it was projected we'd get 280,000 in franchise fees like Cablevision, LPNL, that kind of stuff. And we didn't get that much.
it was changed in the line item. I'm not saying what we did or didn't get, it's simply that it's miscalculated in the numbers. And it would change the numbers by 130,000. Because it wouldn't have the right in the point in the budget. You know, the budget may or may not be out of budget.
Somewhere we didn't collect what we projected.
Well, we didn't collect it, but they budgeted, the budget amount, hey, we're gonna receive 280. And then suddenly, that figure's been reduced, we received 142, but 150 has put into what we were budgeted to receive rather than the 280.
And it
So
just
at the
makes
beginning of the year, we were expecting 280.
Right.
We got 142, and then the numbers were changed to, I guess, to bring it closer, or I don't know why it was changed, but it was. I think that's when Ms. Lewis was here, I think that afternoon.
This was when it was still.
But also asked, in looking at, in looking at through the expenditures of this, there were several numbers that from the first, and I understand that it was preliminary, but you would think that if you had it, she gave us a partial financial statement earlier in the month. I would think if you did anything, that it would be an increase, not a decrease. And there were several points in this profit and loss comparison where the number actually went down from where she had it before. You know, like, for instance, the retirement. She showed it at 115, and now it's showing as 108. And I don't, you know, there's some things that would change, but I wouldn't think the retirement would.
Remember, she also stated that with us in the meeting, that as they were still continuing to do the cleaning up of some issues that it may change, because some of the stuff that we was getting wasn't accurate. And she stated that.
You did.
Are we getting accurate numbers?
They was cleaning them up. Because some stuff we've been getting wasn't, today, we wasn't getting accurate.
But are these now considered to be accurate?
Mr. Crawford, she said what was going to change. That y'all was getting some things going to be changed that reflect the accuracy, because some stuff we've been getting was misleading, that they was fixing the problems.
I personally would like to see what is the difference in this 150, the 150 to the 280. I'd like to see what difference that made.
That can be one of the portions that we will address to her.
Yeah. And I'd really like to see what the difference is. before
Well,
we-
historically, have we been getting 280?
I got it for March.
No, I'm talking about like the year before, did we collect 280,000 in franchise fees, and then that past year we only collected 150? Is that,
With the projection has been the last couple of years, we're saying that we're not that number in the budget with that projection.
yeah, but historically, have we come close to it? I don't either.
To my knowledge, I don't ever remember getting 200 franchise.
And, you know, the 150,000 is a number that we, you know, that should be sitting there. But what I'm saying is from the budget we adopted to get here, wouldn't it level up some of the money? That's what I'm saying.
It's a good question, it's something we need to...
Understand what I'm questioning?
And you want this new budget to reflect as accurate as you can what you expect to bring in. And then your expenditures, you gotta adjust. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions.
And I mean, I understand that, but I'd really like to see what that does to the balance.
What is your pleasure?
There's no question, Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the financial statements for the month ending in June.
Been properly moved? And second. All in favor, say aye. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Oh, I have a question?
You didn't ask for nays. You asked for all in favor. Did it?
No, all opposed? Let the record reflect that. Second. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Just hit record again?